I would like to tell you something about how we do things in Delft at our NewMedia Centre. I want to show you a few examples. We already had talked about MOOCs, and MOOCs were also our actually kickoff of using media in education. 10 years ago, 12 years ago, we started our first MOOC on solar energy, actually under the policy of educate the world. Our university wanted to be out there online, educate the world, share their content with a worldwide audience. On the edX platform, MIT started this, and MIT is our big idol, so we didn't want to stay behind and wanted to catch up with MIT. And we joined the edX platform, and we started making MOOCs. We made now, I think, 130 or 135 MOOCs in this format. We call this the talking head format. A presenter next to a screen, and we made thousands of videos like this. It's a quick format. We put a lot of effort in the preparation. We prepare the slide, we prepare a script, we record the video in 7 minutes, no post-production, done. We can publish it. Very quick to produce. But is this very creative? Our objective is let's get creative, so I will talk about that more. But we made a lot of videos like this. And actually the way we made the videos trickled down to campus education, and we actually matured the whole process of supporting teachers in their learning, also in their media production, actually in a one-stop shop called Teaching Support. We are part of the teaching support, but there are also many others part of the teaching support at our university, like our blended learning developers sitting right in front of me, but also online learning developers, course developers, tech developers. A lot of people are involved in teaching support. You can all find this information online and all the support in one-stop shop, and also our services you can find there, which are 8. I will mention them quickly, but they are not very relevant now. We stream and record lectures. We record and stream talk shows, events and webinars. We help you with graphic design, graphic support, animations, illustrations, and so on. Video production, I will show you a few examples of that. We have an extended reality zone where we create extended reality products. A media lab where we experiment with all kinds of media technology. A DIY service where we support the do-it-yourself of media creation, mostly video, but also podcasts. And an academy where we want to teach you how to create media yourself, or how to write your own script, or make your own animation, and so on. It's an online and offline academy. You saw the talking head format before, and what we think of the talking head format, it doesn't actually put the content of your education in a context. It's in a studio with a presentation. So we are now actually starting to develop new kinds of formats which put your content into context. We have a teacher that wanted to explain vector computations by using the 80s arcade game Asteroids. So we put him in the game museum in the Netherlands where he could explain a little bit, and then he popped up in our studio. Let's have a look.
Directly on the screen, but the spaceship is defined with vertices around the origin. Only during gameplay, it is moved, translated and rotated into the right spot. Let's see how that's done. How to rotate the spaceship. A rotation over some angle theta around the origin is a multiplication with the following matrix.
It's maybe a more interesting example of creating a video, put it into the context. The interesting part is, of course, this takes much more time to produce. This is not preparing in front, recording, publishing. This is preparing, recording, and a lot of editing to be done here. So it's a very labor-intensive way of producing video. There are even more labor-intensive ways to produce video, and that is actually to try to place people where they cannot even be. I'll give you another example. Oh, one more. Our prime program, which is our mathematical program at our university, we also try to put education into context again by placing the teacher in another landscape.
Let's visit the Waterduinen, a newly created nature reserve in Zeeuws-Vlaanderen. By adjusting the position of the slides in the culvert, the tide in the Waterduinen can be regulated.
To place a mathematical problem into the context, we hope to try to generate more understanding of the problem itself. To place people where they cannot even get, we try virtual productions, as Jeremy also mentioned. We use augmented reality together with video. Unfortunately, not a LED wall yet, but our green screen. I'm very jealous of you. Thank you. Where we will place a teacher on Mars, on the surface of Mars, and the teacher will explain about all the little cars that are driving around on Mars.
Complete review on the production process and pipeline in order to use the technique to its full potential. But as you can see, the first results are very promising.
Just looking at the sheer size of these robots, it is immediately clear that these are almost geological laboratories on wheels.
This creates almost cinematographic content. Also very interesting to do for us. We like to do these projects because we learn a lot from it ourselves, technology-wise, but we also believe they can add to education by bringing something extra to the environment, and you can place teachers wherever you want them to be. During COVID, we also discovered a lot of Zoom fatigue or Teams fatigue. You probably have heard this before or experienced that yourself. And we were trying to find out how can we bring the teacher in a more immersive way into the classroom when they are not really present. So we set up a project together with a university in Mexico who was already experimenting with this, Monterrey University, and started something that is called Holographic Projection. I'll show you an example. You'll get the idea. These teachers were standing in Mexico and they were teaching a class in Delft. And we also do the other way around, that a Delft teacher is standing in our studio and is teaching a class in Mexico. We also use this technology for conferencing and so on. If a keynote speaker cannot be there, we project him on the stage. Actually, it's very simple to do. If you have questions about it, talk to me later. During COVID, we also discovered that a lot of laboratories were not physically available to do experiments. So we tried to make digital twins of laboratories to do the same experiments, and they are still alive. These digital twins are still very used, also in MOOCs, so for a worldwide audience to use, so they can actually do the same experiments as in the physical laboratory that we have. And one of the digital twins we made was our photovoltaic lab at our university, where we actually made the whole environment 3D, the same as it looked in reality. You could do the same experiments, the same calculations, but then in a web browser, online, very accessible to everybody. Another example is we started 2 years ago our MediaLab. And our MediaLab is actually our research and development place. We have a green screen studio, we have an animation studio, we have a lot of people that work in production. They create bulk in demand of teachers or learning developers or researchers or communication. And when you do production, there's never any time for research and development. So we created our own research and development department where we can only experiment and play, which is the best department ever. So the good thing about it is there is room for fun, there's room for error, we can make mistakes, we only want to learn, and we learn most from failures. We want to share our failures as well, so others do not have to make them anymore, and it's open for everybody. It's open for teachers, it's open for researchers, if they have a clear purpose why they want to use media technology for something they want to find out. And we have a lot of available tools in that MediaLab where we can experiment with. I will not read it out because it will be shared and then you can read it yourself. And everything we try, every experiment we try to do in our MediaLab, we also try to valorize. We try to publish about it. We try to research about it. We try to see if it really adds something to education. That mostly we do with our Center for Education and Learning, which is a research center at our university, and Leiden University and Rotterdam University. It's a shared research center, and they help us in actually valorizing all the content that we try to create in the MediaLab. In our XR zone, we create also applications that are used in education, but also in research. For example, we made a virtual ship wharf where students have to construct parts of a ship in a multiplayer environment because the actual ship wharf was not accessible anymore during COVID. During security reasons, insurance reasons, but also espionage reasons, students were not allowed to visit the shipyard anymore, so we made the shipyard virtual, and people could do experiments or build constructions of ships in the ship wharf. Also virtual laboratories, physics lab, where students can do some physics experiments. They first learn them in the lab, and then they can rehearse them or do them again in a virtual space, so the lab stays available for research. Lab space is very expensive, so research is a priority there. So creating a virtual lab makes space more available. We also teach. We teach how to make VR to students, but we also use VR in classrooms. 20 headsets in one classroom, and teachers can teach 20 students at once in the same virtual environment. A problem with a virtual environment that it's very solitary. You are there by yourself, or you might, in a multiplayer environment, you might see somebody else, but as a teacher, you have no control over the people in the virtual environment. So we made a class control room for a virtual environment. As a teacher, you can decide where the student is going to, or what the student is seeing. You can steer them all in the same direction, or put the screen, what they see, is all the same for everybody. You can ask, you can give them questions, you can message them in the virtual environment, you can see on a mini-map where they are in the virtual environment, so you can actually guide them towards another direction. To steer actually students within that virtual world. We also try to incorporate artificial intelligence in the things we do. We are experimenting, for example, in a classroom situation, or classroom management, how to control your students in the environment. So students are avatars in, or there is a virtual environment with avatars in your classroom. When you talk to a student, the response will be AI generated, and the response is also sensitive for the emotion that you put into your voice. So if you are angry, you also get an angry reply back. Or if you are friendly, you also get a friendly reply back. These are experiments that we are trying to do to incorporate also augment artificial intelligence into, it's in Dutch, so it's not useful for everybody. But something that we are trying to do. We support do-it-yourself content creation in a do-it-yourself studio that looks like this. We made a little trailer for it.
Exciting news! The TU Delft Library has just launched a DIY recording studio. Now, anyone on campus can create high-quality videos for their projects or presentations. Just visit our website to make a reservation and start recording today.
This is available for everybody. This is also for students. All employees of the university can use this video box to create their own videos. There are also faculties that have their own do-it-yourself facilities to create video, because we also believe we try to give support university-wide, but one solution fits nobody, so there are also solutions being made or given at faculty level. Industrial design engineering has a do-it-yourself facility, civil engineering has a do-it-yourself facility, and so on. So there are more facilities to create content, which also creates a lot of challenges, because all this content that is being generated by everybody at the university, quality control, we have no idea what kind of quality is being generated, what kind of quality is being made. It's something we don't have any solution for yet, but we are working really hard to think of, okay, how do we set up a quality control that if content is being created and published for a worldwide audience, it should be checked. Content management, we have content on computers at the faculty, we have content on servers that are managed by us, we have content on YouTube channels, Vimeo channels, content is everywhere. How do we gather everything and try to manage it and control it and publish it? We create a variety of formats. We create XR content, video content, animation content, 360 content, lecture capture content, all in different formats. How do we manage all these formats and how do we store them maybe in one repository? We didn't have a solution for that yet. Retention policies, what do we keep? I have to close off, so I go through it very quickly. What do we keep, what don't we keep, how long do we keep things? All policies that we do not have in place yet. What we found out, for example, by using XR technology and scaling up to 20 goggles, for example. How do we do device management? How do we do authentication when you have to log into a goggle? How do we have to update and install all this technology? All issues and challenges that we are still actually trying to solve and experiencing now, but we don't have a solution for it yet. So if somebody has a solution, I would love to hear it in the next 2 days. So that is what we do, what we are. We try to be creative, so that's my message to you. Let's get creative.